Good evening. Welcome to the podium here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. We have joining us Coach Juwan Howard from the University of Michigan, and we're going to start with an opening statement. Coach?
Well, I just want to say this, that I'm so proud of our team on how they competed from start to finish. Give a lot of credit to Florida State, well-coached team, a coach who I know very well, I have a ton of respect for. He runs an excellent program, developed young men, and I've been one of the recipients of some of the development, learning from Coach Ham. So it was a hard-fought victory, but now it's just one game at a time. We got to keep competing, which our guys are looking forward to the next matchup.
All right, thanks, Coach. We're going to turn to our first question from Teo Mackey. Teo is with umhoops.com.
Yeah, Juwan, Franz obviously was key tonight on both ends of the floor. What were some things that he did from your perspective in this game that he wouldn't have been able to do a year ago?
Well, Franz has developed, and has gotten better each and every year, and he's only been here for 2 years. It's been a joy to coach, and I know my staff will agree. A guy that has a high IQ, high ceiling, loves basketball, a grinder, and today the impact that he has on the game, just like his teammates, was extremely effective with what he had when having the ball in his hands and also being on the defensive end.
All right, our next question this evening comes from Brendan Quinn with The Athletic. Brendan?
Hey, Juwan. When it comes to dealing with this group, just the amount of guys that you have who are, 22, 23, like it's an older team. And I just wonder for you, being able to execute a game plan or just being able to communicate things like that, just what it's like being able to coach a team that kind of has that as a commodity that a lot of other groups don't have.
Well, I just wanted to correct you. We have Hunter Dickinson and Franz Wagner, who are very young. And those two guys are, a starting lineup. And it's been, great to coach all the guys, whether it's, upperclassmen or underclassmen. Our two younger guys has a high IQ, and it's been, beautiful just to learn from them just as much as our seniors. But, we're grinding, man, and we're doing it collectively, and it's beautiful just to see the development that's happening before our eyes.
Our next question comes from Ted Gutkin he is with the Michigan Daily. Ted?
Hey, Juwan, you guys had 11 offensive rebounds and 17 second chance points. Can you talk about the work you guys were able to do on the offensive glass tonight?
Well, yes, it was based on effort, energy, and toughness. Our guys came with the mindset. We talked about it, leading up to the game. We showed it on film. We also talked about it before the game, about we have to attack the offensive glass. We can't sit back on our heels and leave it untouched. Shot goes up, let's go. You have the habits of transition defense. If the numbers advantage, we have two guys that's going to be back. That's going to, of course, communicate and try to stop a layup. I just love the effort that our guys brought and the energy and the grit.
Next up, we have Andrew Kahn with mlive.com. Andrew, if you could please unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Juwan. Franz spoke about the confidence you and the coaches, give the players. I guess, can you speak to the balance of, making sure your players are aware of what the opponent does well while still giving your players confidence that they can handle it,
Well, why not give them confidence? That's what we're here for, to empower these young men who's put in a lot of hard work and effort each and every day in practice, games. If you break their confidence, then they will not be able to go out there and compete at a high level. The trust is earned not only just from the players, but also coaches. We have to earn their trust. And so with all the work that we put in practice, we see what our guys provide from a skill level, also being neck up, and then also the hard work they bring in with the energy and effort. So the trust and the belief is there on both sides. That's a part of our culture. A key word, trust.
Thank you.
Next question this evening comes from the Detroit Free Press. We have Orion Sang. Orion?
Hey, Juwan, Florida State switches a lot of screens, which I feel like is something that you guys didn't see all that often in the Big Ten. What did you make of your team's ability to handle that tonight on offense?
I didn't hear the first part of your question. Can you repeat it?
Florida State switches a lot of screens. What did you make of your team's ability to handle that offensively?
Screens? What? Repeat that? I don't understand what you said.
Florida State switches a lot of screens.
Oh, switches. Okay, I didn't hear that word.
Yeah.
Switches. Yeah, thank you. Yes, they do. But we've seen some of that in the Big Ten. Rutgers switch, ball screens. Maryland switch. They do a lot of switching. But in the tournament, we also saw it versus LSU. They do a lot of switching. But yes, it's challenging when you have, a team that's have length that also can switch 1 through 5. But our guys did a great job of handling it. We practiced it all week, and it was great to see how they applied it on the floor.
All right, next up, we have Ethan Sears with umhoops.com. Ethan, if you could please unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, Juwan, I'm wondering just defensively, what did you try to stress to everybody coming in? How did you think the team executed?
You said defensively or offensively?
Defense.
Our defense has been one of our staples of our identity as far as on the offensive end. We've had habits on how we've, developed it last year when I first arrived. And then, when we returned to the campus in June, first thing that we met as a staff, and then also the first meeting when we were able to have our first official practice, we talked about how we want to be a better defensive team. And a lot of the drills that we worked on was based on developing that defensive prowess, where we can, of course, be disruptive on the ball and then off the ball. So if you look at, the field goal percentage, yes, we held them to 40% from the field and also held them to 25% from the free throw line. It was great defensive effort.
Next, we have Connor Brennan. Connor, if you could please identify your affiliation for coach and unmute. Thank you.
Connor Brennan, the Michigan Daily. Yeah, Juwan, a lot was made about Florida State's size coming into this matchup. So how were you guys able to kind of neutralize them in terms of, banging down low in the post?
Yeah, we heard it all week. Yep, sure did. And we did a really good job of preparing for it. Yes, you cannot duplicate it in practice because you just don't have that, Florida State roster. But it was great just to know, as far as our guys buying into, and as the guys I'm speaking of, our scout team, really watching film and studying Florida State's offense and the players' strengths. And when it came to preparation, I was just so proud how the scout team really bought into preparing us.
Next, we have John Borton. John, if you could please unmute and identify your affiliation for coach. Thank you.
Coach John Borton, the Wolverine magazine. 8 teams left after tonight. Was there more celebrating going on or more, hey, we're not done yet in the locker room?
One game at a time. Yes, we can celebrate tonight, but tomorrow we're looking forward to and preparing for our next opponent.
All right, our next question is Chuck Culpepper. Chuck, if you could identify your affiliation for coach and ask your question.
Yeah, Coach Howard, this is Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. Through the years, now and then, we've seen teams that had great seasons, but a big blow near the end of it, like the one you took. Could you describe what it is like to try to adapt to that when there's not much time left to adapt?
What blow are you speaking of?
The injury to Isaiah.
Well, we don't make excuses here at Michigan. We feel so sorry for Isaiah with the injury. During any time of the season when a player go down with an injury, it's very unfortunate, and you feel and your heart breaks for that player. Isaiah, all the hard work he's put in senior year, and get to a point where at the end of the season, injuries you cannot control. But our guys band together like brothers, be there for their brother to lift them up and keep his spirits. And he's been amazing on the sideline as far as with his energy and keeping guys engaged and being another coach out there for us. But it's great to see that other guys have, stepped up, and it's been collectively as a group. There were guys that have stepped up with his absence.
Next, we have Myron Metcalf. Myron, if you could unmute and identify your affiliation.
ESPN, Juwan, just confirming. Isaiah's out for the rest of the tournament. Is that accurate?
He's out indefinitely.
So there's a chance he can return, or is he out?
He's out indefinitely.
Our next question is Steve Kornacki. Steve, if you could identify your affiliation.
Yes, Steve Kornacki of the Kornacki Wolverine Report. Juwan, your team got a lot of good shots in this game, and a lot of it was ball movement, but some of it was that ability for your players to attack and yet to be patient and adjust to double teams and such. Could you talk about that aspect of your team's play today?
Our guards are very, not just the guards, but our team in general played a very smart, aggressive game, just like how we prepared in practice. And it's great that we was able to apply it in the game situation, because it's tough, no matter in practice, on how you try to prepare for it. You know, you're hoping and praying that that there's, you know, a transfer to the floor, but it was. And the part of just taking your time and taking advantage of what the defense gives you.
Just two more questions, Coach. First, we'll turn to John Teitel with Hoops HD. John.
John Teitel from hoopshd.com. I don't think I've seen a team in this tournament happier than when Jace had the and one play at the end. What does it mean to you, either as a father or a coach, when that happens?
Well, it's our culture, man. Our guys do an amazing job of enjoying each other's success, because there's a brotherhood that's, you know, special. And, you know, it's not just a word when you talk about family and brotherhood. Those guys really believe it and buy into it, because that's the care and love that they have for each other. So whether it was Jace or if it was Zeb Jackson who got the N1, you will see the same exact excitement, you know, that they will display for their brother. And it's not been the first time that our guys have been excited for guys that comes in the game and able to have an impact on the game. You know, if you watch this all year, you know, our bench brings that energy, and they also cheer for one another. As a father, you know, it was beautiful to witness it, because I see the hard work he's put in, and he deserved to be here. And his teammates, you know, has really embraced them, and he's embraced them. So it also put a big smile on my face just to see that he made the free throw.
All right, our last question for you, Coach, this evening comes from Justin Rose. Justin, if you could please identify your affiliation.
Yeah. Juwan, Justin Rose, WXYZ here in Detroit. You know, Michigan's been to 4 Elite Eights now. What does it mean to you personally to continue the tradition of success with the basketball program, getting to yet another Elite Eight?
Well, as a player, I've been to 3 Elite Eights. So, you know, Michigan has had a lot of success in the basketball program. It's just beautiful to see that all the hard work is paying off this year.